for the 49ers home opener against the Falcons. But deep down, he had to be thinking about the possibility of being upset for the second week in a row, particularly after a first half in which he spent much of his time desperately seeking open receivers. The Falcon defense smothered San Francisco for 2 quarters, and Atlanta was able to take a 10-0 halftime lead, thanks to this 17-yard scoring strike from Steve Bartkowski to Anthony Allen, number 85. Atlanta, it seemed, was on its way to victory. But when the San Francisco pass rush finally awoke from their slumber, any notion the Falcons had of overthrowing the Super Bowl champions was like their quarterbacks, buried into the ground. With 6 quarterback sacks, the 49er defense took this game firmly in hand. And once their offense took off on the heels of number 33, Roger Craig, what might have been a Falcon upset became a 49er runaway. Craig's 62-yard touchdown run spurred on a San Francisco comeback that saw the 49ers register 35 second-half points. By thrashing the Falcons 35-16, the 49ers sent a message to the rest of the NFL. There will be no repeat of the post-Super Bowl letdown that plagued them in 1982. And that's a problem that their 1985 opponents will have to give some serious consideration to. In addition to the national anthem, the Kansas City Chiefs are singing a new song these days. They're chanting the chimes of victory. And the music that filled the air in Arrowhead Stadium last week was greatly sweetened by the L.A. Raiders, who warbled their own version of Looney Tunes. The Raiders coughed up a chorus of turnovers, including this Jim Plunkett present that led to a Kansas City touchdown. On this long evening, the Raiders' failure to get a grip on the ball was further frustrated by Nick Lowry's ability to put his foot into it. Lowry booted home 5 field goals, and the room to spare that he had on this 58-yarder was matched by the distance that separated Kansas City receivers from Raider cornerbacks. The Chiefs hummed their way to an easy 36-20 victory that left them in a tie for the lead in the AFC West. It may be early in the season, but in Kansas City, that is something to sing about. So far this season, the Minnesota Vikings have refrained from whistling any similar tunes of glory. Instead, they have been quietly listening to a more vocal Bud Grant. And judging from their inspired play, it is apparent that they have well heeded his words of wisdom. Opportunism has long been a part of the Bud Grant lore, and in Tampa Bay, the Vikings forced a multitude of Buccaneer mistakes. Even the Viking offense got into the act of stealing the football. The Bucs' costliest turnover came late in the first half when the Vikings' Joey Browner, number 47, returned a tipped Steve DeBerg pass 15 yards for a score. The Vikings built up a 24-3 lead before the Buccaneers managed to make a game of it with a second-half rally, capped off by DeBerg's fourth-quarter touchdown toss to tight end Jerry Bell, number 82. But unlike the Vikings of a year ago, a team that had a penchant for folding in the fourth quarter, these rejuvenated Vikings are fast finishers. And when Tommy Kramer hit a wide-open Ted Brown on this 54-yard touchdown pass, the Vikings closed strongly for the second week in a row. Minnesota prevailed 31-16. Of course, 2 games do hardly a season make. Bud Grant may be no miracle maker, but what words he has preached have proved to be mighty strong medicine for the men of Minnesota, who appear to be fully recovered and on the road to respectability in the National Football League. Performance the week before, Saints coach Bum Phillips stuck by his quarterback, Dave Wilson. Wilson improved his 1.7 quarterback rating, but only when he had time to throw. Denver's defense got to him for 6 sacks, 4 of them by Carl Mecklenburg, number 77. New Orleans defenders reached Bronco quarterback John Elway half as many times. Not enough to prevent him from completing a career-high 28 passes, 4 for touchdowns. That included 1 each to Clint Sampson and Butch Johnson, number 86. The book on Elway has been that the strength of his arm may be his weakness, that he tries to throw the ball through defenders rather than over or around them. Not so on Sunday. In fact, he has rewritten his book by adding the soft touch to his repertoire, evident on a short-scoring pass to Gene Lang, number 33, that helped hand the Saints their second straight defeat, 34-23. The Chicago Bears went hunting for their second straight win against the Patriots in a highly uncharacteristic manner. Running back Walter Payton ran for just 37 yards, coughed up a rare fumble, and for a brief while, the Bears became the hunted rather than the hunter. After absorbing Andre Tippett's reverse body slam, Chicago's Dennis McKinnon put the Patriots back on the mat with a 32-yard scoring pass from Jim McMahon. Meanwhile, the Bear defense intercepted 3 passes and limited Patriot runners to a mere 27 yards. It wasn't until the final 6 minutes that New England got on the board, when Tony Eason teamed with Craig James for a 90-yard touchdown. 20-7 Chicago win was no surprise, and neither was Houston's first-half performance against the Redskins. After upsetting Miami on opening day, the Oilers appeared to be returning to mid-season form. Washington outgained Houston by 230 yards in the first 2 periods and forged a 16-0 lead. Calvin Muhammad's 17-yard reception was the first of 2 Redskin touchdowns. The other coming when George Rogers, number 38, took a page out of Yogi Berra's book. The play ain't over till it's over. Rogers paid dearly for the 31-yard run. The next day, he was placed in traction with a sprained back. And from that point on, the Redskin offense was immobilized as the revived Houston defense shut out the Skins the rest of the way. By the third quarter, 2 field goals and a Warren Moon to Drew Hill touchdown pass brought the Oilers to within 3 points. Hill tightrope the end line with the skill of a high-wire performer. But with 4 minutes left in the game, his second act was ruled illegal. As Hill stretched for the ball, both of his feet were in bounds, but the apparent touchdown was disallowed. It's the toughest call in football, a call that denied Houston their second straight upset win. The question is, did Hill have control of the ball, or did he juggle it for an instant when he hit the ground? With 2 other touchdowns called back because of penalties and with 2 missed field goals, the Oilers had every chance to win. But even their 16-13 loss made it clear that the once lowly Oilers are prepared to challenge the league's traditional powers. Last Sunday in Philadelphia, long-lost pals Eric Dickerson and Georgia Frontieri brushed up their act for a guest appearance on Let's Make a Deal. But once the Eagles and Rams dressed up in their eye-catching garb, it was Henry Ellard, number 80, who picked the winning door, the one that led straight to the end zone. Ellard's 80-yard punt return for a score was the fourth of his young career. The Rams went up 7-0 and never looked back. Unfortunately for rookie quarterback Randall Cunningham, what lay ahead didn't look so good. In their quest for a winner, the Eagles made more changes in their formula than Coca-Cola. And just like New Coke, Philadelphia fell flat. Meanwhile, Charles White's first 100-yard day as a pro was reminiscent of the classic version from Southern Cal. Los Angeles struck it rich with a 17-6 victory and has a good deal to look forward to with the return of Eric Dickerson. Things had been looking up for the Giants until they reached Lambeau Field, where the Packer defense brought them down. As much time as Phil Simms spent on his back, he finally learned to throw from there. Once Simms made it to a more familiar position, he spotted Don Hasselbeck, number 85, for a 20-yard touchdown. Still, the Giants came up at the short end of a 23-20 score as the Packers proved just a little too hot to handle. The Jets couldn't handle their embarrassing defeat in Week 1 at the hands of the Raiders. So against Buffalo, New York did the embarrassing. Abiding by the old gridiron proverb, do unto others as they have done unto you, the Jets took more than poetic license with the Bills. They hammered them. Although he's worked his magic in the past, Vince Ferragamo allowed scoring opportunities to disappear as defenders' hands were quicker than his receivers' eyes. Ferragamo threw 4 interceptions, but none more costly than this misfire to rookie cornerback Kerry Glenn, number 35. The Bills were the epitome of low comedy, while Freeman McNeil exemplified the Jets' high heroics. This workhorse galloped for 192 yards, including this 69-yard sprint, the longest of his career. The Bills found out that trying to hold back number 24 is like harnessing a team of Clydesdales. From incompetent to incomparable, the Jets concluded their Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde transformation with a monstrous 42-3 win over Buffalo, their largest margin of victory in almost 20 years. In Miami, unbelieving fans were caught in a web of confusion because, like the Jets, their Dolphins had lost on opening day and to one of 1984's worst teams. So when another lowly bunch, the Indianapolis Colts, took a 7-6 lead, Dolph fans were really up in arms. Dan Marino had stalled the previous week, but he dusted off the rust and tuned up the sleek Dolphins scoring machine. The alien sound of booing which filled the Orange Bowl air was quickly replaced with the familiar sight of touchdown passes to Mark